slavers didn't want to do it because they said this could be dangerous to let these Negroes congregate for any reason. You know, some of them knew just how dangerous it was. The others said, well, let the darkies go on and sing and stuff. It'll keep them happier when they're working and they're playing, you know, because you know they can't work unless they sing. They fall out about halfway through the day if they ain't got no singing with them. If they sing, they can make it from sun up to sundown. Can't see in the morning, can't see at night. But they'll only make it to noon if we don't let them sing. So let them do some singing. Right. So that's all we needed, right? So we got together and start singing the songs. We would sing songs like "My Lord, What a Morning."
Oh yeah.
When the stars began to fall. Yeah. That white man listening to them darkies sure sound good. They got perfect harmony. And they singing about the stars in the sky. We in there talking about the people that's in control are gonna fall. My Lord, what a morning, but we strike them. That's what we were talking about. Then they would sing steal away to Jesus. Say, oh, we got them now. They really into Jesus. Well, none of the main ships to bring us over here was the good ship Jesus. So Jesus represented a way back home. It represented a ship, so they figured we singing about their idea of Jesus. We singing about a ship to take us home. But because we sang it in a language that they could accept, we knew what we were singing. We was on that plantation. This is how the black church started off, and that got away from that somewhere along the way. Some have stayed, but most have gotten away. That's how it started off there on the plantation. And come by here, my Lord, come by here. You know, that was Mother Harriet Tubman's piece. And when they sang that song, she knew where to stop off, what station in the railroad, Underground Railroad stop up, pick off people and keep on going, take them on up north to what they considered to be freedom back then. Well, the show was a lot better than what was happening down there. It was a measure of freedom that we had. So those kind of songs. Then, the plantation preachers, probably the greatest preachers we have ever had. I don't care who we hear, we have not heard preaching in our lifetime like the preaching that James Weldon Johnson tried to capture in his book, God's Trombone, like the preaching of them preachers on that plantation. I mean, I don't think there's anybody, and we've had some fine preachers in our day that could match them. And they could go from plantation to plantation, and in the sermon, it gave instructions to where to meet and gather for the slave revolts and for the slave escape. See, there was a lot more slave revolts than what we know about. Right. They would not let you know that. They wouldn't let it go from plantation to plantation because they didn't want the word to get around. But the Nat Turner revolt was so dynamic you couldn't escape it. The Gabriel Prosser and them Vesi was so dynamic you couldn't get around that, so that became public knowledge. But there were far more revolts than they talk about. I am a descendant of John Campbell, who was my great-great-grandfather who led a slave revolt in West Petersburg, Virginia. That's how I got to be like I am today. So they inherit that. But that's a revolt that most people don't know. Then my family knew about it, and they tell the story to every generation. And I remember being a little boy sitting down hearing the story of John Campbell that they told behind closed doors. And every time we had a family gathering, they would sit around and talk about this. And I found, as I talked to many people as I traveled the country, there was a lot more slave revolts than we know about. And it was because of them preachers preaching on the plantations and them songs they were singing. Also, they used to pray in a way. When they would pray out loud, see, you weren't allowed to go from this plantation to the other plantation unless you had a pass from master. Oh, all right. You had to be. Well, we'll get one song in anyhow.
Go ahead.
You had to stay confined where he told you had to stay confined. Right. You couldn't get on another plantation and change ideas with your brothers and sisters there. Right. You couldn't do that. Right. So what we would do is we'd go out in the woods and pray. And while we were praying in our prayers out loud, we would get the message to the brothers and sisters. Now, during the Gabriel Prosser rebellion, that took part, was it the Denmark Vesey rebellion. I'm sorry, the Vesey rebellion was in South Carolina, right? When they found out, when some house Negroes told them what was happening, what our whole communication system was, they stopped them from having the preacher go around by himself. He had to have a white man always present.
Right.
And the white man read the text. Now, the preacher couldn't choose the text. And that's why you see in a lot of churches today, they still do that. Somebody will read the text, and the preacher will quote what they say. That came from the fact that white man had to read the text and had to say, and it was text like, slaves obey your masters and all that kind of stuff. That's all they could do.
Right.
So that was cut off. When they found out about the singing, they stopped, they put a ban on the songs. They put a ban on the praying out loud. Only one thing, they would have had to kill too much of what they considered to be their property, because there was no way you could stop a black person from praying in the first place, and secondly, you couldn't stop them from praying out loud. They had to pray out loud. And so what they did, they said, they passed a law saying, since we can't stop them from praying out loud, they got to put a bucket over their head when they pray. And that's why when you see sketches and etchings of the black church on the plantation, you'll see a bucket sitting there by the altar. Sitting right there by the mourner's bench, there's a bucket. Because you cannot stop us from shouting and singing. When we feel the goodness of the Lord and our ancestors and us, we're going to shout. You cannot stop that as black people. And so they had to put that bucket over their head. So when they couldn't, you had a preacher, they couldn't sing the songs, and they couldn't pray, and that's where that song came from, way down yonder by myself, and I couldn't hear nobody pray. See, that's what that song meant. I couldn't hear nobody pray. Because they were used to hearing each other pray and getting the message back and forth. That's a precious song.
That's right.
Way down yonder by myself. I couldn't hear nobody pray. Then somebody said, well, what are we going to do? The preacher can't carry the message. We can't sing the song. We can't pray out loud in the fields anymore. What we're going to do? Say, they out in the field picking the cotton. Picking the cotton, and they're trying to figure out what to do. And the Spirit of the Lord fell on somebody, and they said,
Oh, yeah.
My Lord, yes. Somebody else picked it up. They made a code out of the moaning and passed it from plantation to plantation. That's why when Art Blakey did that piece, moaning, dun, 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 dun. I don't say I'm being sacrilegious in the church, because that's a religious piece. Dun, 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 moaning. That's why that moan is so important to black people today. Whether we know why it's important, that's why it is. So I just want to give you a little background on it. We're going to sing one song, and then we're going to turn it over to Dr. Jack Felder. We're going to start out with the song they used to sing in the words on the plantation, Woke Up This Morning With My Mind Stayed on Jesus. But we're going to sing it in the words we knew they really meant. I'm going to sing it, and we're going to sing Woke Up This Morning With My Mind Stayed on Liberation. All right?
Right. That's right.
Woke up this morning with my mind stayed on liberation. Woke up this morning with my mind stayed on liberation. Well, I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on liberation. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Wherever I go, I got my mind stayed on liberation. Well, wherever I go, I got my mind stayed on liberation. Wherever I go, I got my mind. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Whatever I do, I got my mind. Well, whatever I do, I got my mind.
We give honor to the Creator, revealed to all and known by many names. Give honor to our ancestors, and honor and praise particularly to our elders, those in our midst, those in the families. And I want to give honor and praise and mention to all those who paid the supreme price for our freedom as a people, as Jesus has said, greater love has no man than he lay down his life for a friend. And that's the supreme sacrifice. even people that you may not agree with on one point or another, if they stand up and give their life for him, I mean, there's no argument there. If their commitment was in question at any point, once they give up the supreme sacrifice, there's no question to the level of their commitment. So I say there are those who are not in agreement. I wasn't in agreement with Dr. King's nonviolent method. However, I love Dr. King, and I never questioned his love for us and his level of commitment. And if I had a question about his level of commitment, I didn't have any after his death. Especially how I knew he could have avoided his death had he chosen his life over his purpose. Malcolm, who I had far more in agreement with. In fact, I don't know anything I disagree with Malcolm about except his experience in Mecca, and he didn't have a chance to sort that through before they took him away from him. And I certainly, if I had any doubts about his commitment, I had none after that, because he was offered asylum in other countries. He could have gotten out of here and saved his life, but he chose to stay here and put it on the line for us. So now, whether you're confused about what Malcolm said or did or whatever, you cannot deny, and you should always uphold him before your children as a hero, because the man willfully gave up his life trying to complete or work for the liberation of his people. So I can't mention all those folk like that. So the Sister Fannie Lou Hamer, although she was beat to within an inch of her life, and went the rest of her life with pain and scars that followed her to the grave, because her commitment was to us first rather than to herself. That is something wonderful to be proud of and to praise and to celebrate. And so in the name of her and Brother Malcolm and Dr. King and all of them, and the Black Panthers who had died and fighting for us, all those people, I would say in the words of the last poets, to sum it up, blessed are those who struggle. Oppression is worse than the grave. It is better to live and die for a noble cause than to live and die a slave. Let us always, and whenever I speak, it is only by their auspices that we have the power to speak. Because if they had not stood up, we would not be able to stand up. If they had not paved the way, we would not be able to stand